Hello and welcome to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio. Researched and written in Indianapolis by Dr. Adrian Peterson and produced in the studios of WRMI Shortwave in Okeechobee, Florida. I'm Jeff White. Today on Wavescan, French radio in the South Pacific, New Caledonia, Part 4. We'll have our DX report from the Philippines and our special QSL of the week. Wavescan presents Focus on the South Pacific, a year-long series of reports on radio broadcasting and listening in the South Pacific. In this edition of Wavescan, we complete our four-part story of radio broadcasting in New Caledonia, the French island in the South Pacific. In particular, we present the brief story of another American radio station in New Caledonia, together with information about the various QSL cards and letters that were issued over the years, beginning with the original shortwave broadcasting station FK8AA, way back before the middle of last century. Ray Robinson of KVOH in Los Angeles has our report.
Thanks, Jeff. With the influx of American personnel into the South Pacific during the Pacific War, many American shortwave communication stations were established in many different locations. All of these stations were installed at temporary locations, and most were moved with the forces as they moved northwards. It was in 1942 that an American shortwave communication station was installed in Noumea, the capital city of the French colonial administration on the island of New Caledonia. This station, which was located in suburban Anse-Vata, was allocated an American Army call sign, WVJN, and it was inaugurated for communication service on May the 14th of that year, 1942. At that stage, General Douglas MacArthur had established his headquarters in Brisbane, Australia. His station, WTO, communicated in high-speed Morse code with the Army station in Hawaii, WTJ, and also with the new Noumea station, WVJN, in manual Morse code. However, the sophisticated Army communication station WVY at the Presidio in San Francisco expressed difficulty in Morse communication with Noumea, WVJN, and at one stage refused to accept messages in manual Morse code from them. During the years 1943 and 1944, Army Station WVJN in Noumea was noted by international radio monitors in both Australia and the United States with the broadcast of radio programming for nationwide relay on medium wave in the United States. According to the monitoring reports, the signal was heard at a low level, indicating that the transmitter power must have been quite low. For example, South Pacific Headquarters New Caledonia was heard on 15410 kHz with a program insert for the NBC Army Hour on November the 28th, 1943. Another similar broadcast was noted on 15490 kHz a couple of months later, and then again on 17785 kHz in August 1944. The original 1942 transmitter site for American Army Radio WVJN was located in suburban Noumea, but it's understood that the transmitter station was moved to the American Air Force Base at Tontouta a year later. The station was closed in 1945 or 1946 when American forces left New Caledonia and moved north. The noted American radio historian Jerry Berg of suburban Boston advises that the CPRV QSL collection holds a QSL letter from the American Expeditionary Station in Noumea verifying the reception of a shortwave broadcast on 15460 kHz in April 1944. It would seem that the programming was produced in the Red Cross studios of the AFRS station WVUS, and that it was broadcast over the American Army Communication Station WVJN. The QSL letter was signed by the American serviceman Paul Masterson, who, it is known, was on duty with WVUS in Noumea at the time. We should also mention that a radio unit was operated in New Caledonia by the National Broadcasting Service of New Zealand during the Pacific War. This unit was stationed in Noumea from April 1943 to August 1944, and it produced programming for local broadcast and also for rebroadcast back home in New Zealand. During its year-and-a-half service in Noumea, this NZNBS radio unit produced a daily program, The Kiwi Hour, which was broadcast by Radio Noumea. Another regular program was prepared in Noumea under the title With the Boys Overseas, and this was forwarded by plane to New Zealand twice weekly for rebroadcast over the NZNBS medium wave network in New Zealand. In August 1944, the radio equipment was donated to Radio Noumea, and the personnel returned to their homeland, New Zealand. We come now to the story of other QSL cards and letters from the radio stations in New Caledonia. The amateur radio broadcaster FK8AA issued its own QSL card that was suitable for verifying both amateur QSO contacts as well as radio program broadcasts. This QSL card presented a simple QSL text, and international radio monitors in the pre-war era complained that it was just as hard to obtain a QSL card from the station as it was to actually hear the station. The communication stations FZM, operated by their PT&T departments, and FUJ, operated by their Navy, have been known to sign and rubber stamp a prepared QSL card. Then also the government radio station Radio Noumea has issued at least 3 different QSL cards during its more than half a century of radio program broadcasting. The early cards in the 1950s were a plain text card in 2 consecutive printing styles, and in the 1970s a more elaborate card was issued showing a tower with radiating circles. In more recent times, Radio Noumea verified with a form letter showing a map of the island with a list of their medium wave and shortwave transmitters. Back in the 1980s, international radio monitors in Australia and New Zealand noted that an AWR program was on the air from the shortwave station in Noumea, New Caledonia. According to reception reports regarding these broadcasts, this program was produced in the La Voix de l'Espérance radio studio in Paris, France, the same studio that produced programming for Adventist World Radio. The programs broadcast from Radio Noumea on 3355 and 7170 kHz were not under the direct oversight of Adventist World Radio, though the content and programming was just the same. Several courtesy QSL cards were issued from the AWR office in South Asia, verifying these Pacific Island broadcasts. The Indianapolis Heritage Collection contains 2 of these QSL cards dated November the 5th and November the 23rd, 1982. The QSL card itself showed the orange coloured world map that was issued by the original AWR Asia in Pune, India. The QSL information was neatly typed, and the cards were signed by Jose Jacob during the time when he was serving as a volunteer with Adventist World Radio in Pune. Well, that concludes our 4 episodes on the story of radio broadcasting on the French island of New Caledonia in the South Pacific. We included information on the amateur radio broadcasting station FK8AA. Around the same era, there were 2 other shortwave stations with similar call signs, FO8AA in Tahiti in the South Pacific and FG8AA in Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. So, coming soon here in Wavescan, we plan to present the story of both of these unique amateur shortwave radio broadcasting stations, FO8AA and FG8AA.
Thank you very much, Ray Robinson.
You're listening to Wavescan from Adventist World Radio. Send your comments and reception reports to Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana 46229 in the United States. That's Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana 46229 in the USA. Or you can email us at wavescan@awr.org. Our email once again, wavescan@awr.org.
Recently, a group of DXers from the Finnish DX Association in Finland came over to America for the SWL Winterfest in Pennsylvania. And afterwards, they came down here to Florida to warm up a little bit and to visit us here at WRMI. So after the tour, we sat them down here in the studios and had a little conversation with them. Let's just go right down the line here. We have Risto Vahakainu. Among other things, was for a number of years the Secretary General of the European DX Council.
Yeah, I've been the Secretary General for about 15 years ago, and after that I've been still a lot within the EDX activities, and I am also a board member of the Finnish DX Association.
And we have three more members of the Finnish DX Association with us today. Why don't you each introduce yourselves?
Yes, hello, my name is Pasi Rintamäki, and I've been a member of the Finnish DX Association since the 1970s, and for the past 7-8 years I've been a member of the board for the Finnish DX Council. I've attended quite many external conferences like this shortwave listeners meeting in Plymouth meeting this year, and then some European meetings in our home ground.
And next?
Okay, my name is Henry Ekman, and I have been radio listening for about 40 years now. Okay, I also got part of this club, but the most in radio listening I have been done for the Finnish Swedish-speaking DXers in Finland.
There is and has been for a long time a club for Swedish-speaking DXers in Finland, right?
Yeah, that's true. We are a small minority of about 8% in Finland which are speaking Swedish as our first language, and that's a small club that we have been running for actually 50 years, but just 2 years ago, so we were, let's say, closing down the printing material and things like that, so we are more or less retired from that now.
All right, and number 4.
Yes, my name is Heikki Puranen, and I've been a member of Finnish DX Association since 1984.
Wow.
Years 1997 to 2010, I've been a member of the board.
Okay, so anyway, your main destination was Plymouth Meeting, where there was a meeting of the Shortwave Listeners Winterfest, and this must be something like the 26th or 7th year, right?
So 28th, I guess.
28th, okay.
28th, yeah.
Uh-huh. And it always attracts a number of shortwave listeners and DXers from mostly the northeastern U.S., but they do come from other places as well, right?
Yes, Finland was number 2 when it comes to the number of participants.
Six persons from Finland and one more Finn from California. And in addition to that, there were at least one from United Kingdom, one from Japan, and one from Sydney, Australia.
And how many people altogether were there?
130, and last year there were 114, so an increase.
Now, what happens basically at the SWL Winterfest?
Talk about radio from the early morning until late at night.
And this is what, a 2 or 3 day event?
Yeah, 2 days full of program. Most people usually arrive already on Thursday evening and then leave on Sunday, so it's a long weekend. And all the time the place is, I should say, very radioactive.
Well, no, there are talks and presentations, right?
I even gave a presentation of my own about how hobby things are, and broadcast, also sort of broadcasting is nowadays in Europe and in Finland. I had a good audience already early in the morning, and this was also because it was 20 years since I for the first time came to the fest, so it was kind of an anniversary. The other talks that I recall especially was one of them was presenting about the AM the expeditions the guys do in the States. There's one particular place in northern Maine, Lübeck, I think was the name, Lübeck, Maine, and the other one is in Grayland, state of Washington, and that's a very good one for picking up AM station from the Pacific, and that was a good talk. Mark Fahey from Sydney, Australia gave a speech about how he is listening to pretty much all the countries of the world at his home, where he has good satellite and internet services and a lot of TV and radio channels available.
There were quite many hams radio amateurs as well attending.
In your talk, you were telling about the state of shortwave broadcasting in Europe?
Yes, and also medium wave broadcasting, because medium wave AM stations in Europe are closing very much, and it's actually a very good thing for us Northern DXers, because they are strong stations, and now their channels are open. They don't, and even Russia has stopped pretty much of their AM broadcasting, and of course Russia is a border country to Finland, so it's been a small problem to us for listening to the AM band, but it's better now. But shortwave broadcasting is going down, and that's a bad thing, of course.
We've seen a little bit of increase from Slovakia, from other locations, and we have indications that Radio Prague may come back on shortwave as well. So it's not totally dead in Europe, but it has been going down quite a bit in the last couple of decades.
You're right. Radio Exterior de España, they returned to shortwave, so some transmissions. They first closed down all the programming, but now they are back for some special broadcasts.
That's right, yeah, at least in Spanish, yeah.
I hope really that they don't stop with the shortwave broadcasts, because I took part in the lottery and I won a Grundig shortwave radio, so I need those broadcasts.
I think they have auctions and things going on there for shortwave equipment.
Yeah,
they have that this year?
Auctions, but isn't that the money goes for charity?
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a so-called silent auction.
Silent auction, okay.
That you can watch the gear and then bid for that. Then there's always the big lottery at the end of the banquet.
Okay, then that's what you want.
Yeah,
right?
They had many radios there available, and I think Henry was one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
But generally speaking, everybody has a good time at these things, I know.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is there another one planned for next year?
Yeah, sure. They will continue it. We don't know if we have time and money to participate next year, but let's hope for the best. But it's always the same weekend and the same place, so it's easy to go there, and there's nothing to be seen. So it's only thing you can do is talk radio and spend time with your friends.
And hope to see more youngsters next year.
There was a very good presentation by an 18-year-old guy, probably lives there in the Philadelphia area, and about how he got hooked into the radio and what you need to lock young people to this hobby and so on. And it was pretty good, yeah.
So there's hope for the future then.
Yes, there is.
What about in Finland? Are young people still becoming shortwave listeners?
Not too many, unfortunately. It seems that the internet has taken over everything, but we are still struggling. We have seen the growing numbers in the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s, and so on, and then gradually came down to 2000 and 2010, and then but we still see some opportunities in gaining new persons to this hobby.
So how many people are members of the Finnish DX Association?
About 500 currently.
Wow. So a respectable number.
Mostly in Finland.
And has that number been steady over the last few years?
Pretty steady, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the going down has stopped, so that we probably lose about 1% or something every year, but that's not much.
And you have a very nice DX magazine.
Yes, and we are very proud of that, and we're also publishing it as a PDF version nowadays, so we can deliver it by email.
And then you have, I assume, a website and so on where people can find more information?
Yeah, actually, we have renewed our website last year, and now we brought some more contents into there. We have digitized old magazines beginning from 1958. There are something like 500 to 600 magazines to be digitized, and we've done some 60-70% of the work. Right?
And they are even digitalized in such a way that you can do search by certain words, where to find a special article.
Okay.
It's handy for members. Yeah.
The publication is totally in Finnish, though.
And not completely. There are quite many English and Swedish sites as well, and German and French occasionally.
You have plans. You actually yourselves have a Finnish DX meeting every year, also, right?
Yes, we have that at the beginning of August this year. Yeah.
And I understand that you're thinking of hosting the big European DX Council again in the next few years.
Yeah, there are some special reasons.
Yeah, the plan is to host the meeting of the European DX Council in 2017, because it is the 50th anniversary of the Council, and it's also Finland's centennial year, so it's a big party.
Sounds like fun. I guess it's the first visit for all of you to Okeechobee?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
And so you get to see a little bit of radio history.
Yes.
Oh, it's been impressive, really, to see that shortwave is living and doing well. Yeah, we've been to several stations all over the world, but
I have to say that this one has been the most impressive so far.
and thanks to your engineer who was giving us the tour.
That was a conversation with Risto Vahakainu and his colleagues from the Finnish DX Association, who visited us recently here at the Wavescan studios in Okeechobee, Florida. Now it's time for our DX report from the Philippines. Here's Henry Umaray.
Hello everyone, hello dear shortwave listeners. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're welcome to the April edition of the Philippine DX News. This report number 97. I'm Henry Umaray in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines. Glad to be back and thank you for listening. A15 broadcast schedule in English for Asia and the Pacific. Radio Taiwan International 0300 to 0400 15320 kilohertz, 1100 to 1200 7445 kilohertz, and 1359 kilohertz medium wave to the Philippines, 1600 to 1700 6180 kilohertz. Radio Japan 1000 to 1030 9625 kilohertz, 1200 to 1230 11740 kilohertz from Singapore, 1400 to 1430 11705 kilohertz from Palau. KBS World Radio 0800 to 0900 9570, 1300 to 1400 9570 kilohertz, 1400 to 1500 9460 kilohertz, and 1600 to 1700 9640 kilohertz. Adventist World Radio 1530 to 1600 15670 kilohertz from Germany, Saturday to Wednesday, 1600 to 1630 11995 kilohertz from Sri Lanka, 1600 to 1630 15530 from KSD Guam, 1630 to 1700 15360 from Guam, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 2200 to 2230 15435 kilohertz from KSD Guam every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 2230 to 2400 15320 from KSD Guam, Saturday and Sunday. Vatican Radio 0140 to 0159 11730 kilohertz and 15470 kilohertz from the Philippines. Reception lags for March 2015. March 2, KBS World Radio 9570 in English from Jim J at 0810 SIO 555. March 5, Voice of Vietnam on 12020 in English from Suntay at 1235 SIO 333. We have a special QSL card just for you. For your reception report, please send to US dollar return postage. Will be greatly appreciated. And friends, if you want to get the transcript of today's Pilipinas DX report, please visit http://pilipinasdx.wordpress.com. That's http://pilipinasdx.wordpress.com. Follow us also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/PilipinasDX. Or you may want to send us your comments, suggestions, reception lags, and informations to pilipinasdx@yahoo.com. That's PILIPINASDX for pilipinasdx@yahoo.com. This has been Henry Umaday for Wavescan in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines, saying mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Henry. In his book-style entry into our 2014 DX contest, Bruce White, on his lonely farm out from Kurunda in South Australia, states that he heard the first broadcast from the new 8CJB shortwave station located near Kununurra in the top end of Western Australia. He heard this new station at 0700 UTC on January 5th, 2003, with a test broadcast beamed to the South Pacific on 11770 kHz. Bruce states that there were frequent technical problems throughout the test broadcast, due, as he states, to a faulty audio music player not feeding a signal into the mixer. After every second or third piece of music, there was a period of silence. Bruce White received an EQSL from HCJB Australia, and in their comments they stated that the station was on the air with test programming beamed to the South Pacific. Their 100 kilowatt transmitter, which had been installed at their first location near Kununurra, was operating at a reduced power of just 25 kilowatts. This first day EQSL from HCJB Australia shows a color photo of the large dam on the river near Kununurra, and the QSL information states that the new HCJB was located on a property almost adjacent to the dam. Music from Oman ends this edition of Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio, researched and written in Indianapolis by Adrian Peterson. Next week, the BBC Far Eastern Relay Station, Part 3, a mighty radio amidst the rubber plantations in southern Malaysia. We'll also have our Australian DX report, and of course our special QSL of the week. You can send your AWR and KSDA reception reports for Wavescan to the AWR address in Indianapolis, and also to the station your radio is tuned to, WRMI or WWCR or KVOH, or to the AWR relay stations that carry Wavescan. Remember, too, you can send a reception report to each of the DX reporters when their segment is on the air here in Wavescan, from Bangladesh, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, and India. They will verify with their own colorful QSL card. Return postage and an address label are always appreciated. Our Wavescan address is Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229, USA. That's Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229, USA. And our email address is wavescan@awr.org. That's wavescan@awr.org. I'm Jeff White at WRMI in Okeechobee, Florida. Till next week, good listening, everyone. عشقتك والهوى غلا خفوقي في هواك انذاب ولك سلمت انا